Scotland. And as some of you may know, Forestry and Land Scotland were split into regions covering North East, Central, West and South. The tender that has gone live has 14 lots in total, which have been geographically split, and each lot is going to be an individual contract with one contractor allocated to that lot. So 14 contracts, 14 contractors. The tender has been split lots 1 to 11, which is covering our site rewettings, and lots 12 to 14 is where we require specialist peatland harvesting. All this detail is broken down within the tender pack, and there is a separate appendix which shows you the lot split for each of the lots for each of the different requirements. The contracts we're going to be putting out will be for a maximum of a 5-year period. So it'll be a 3-year initial period and then the option to extend for 24 months, so an additional 2 years. We're awarding contracts this time as opposed to frameworks, and as you can see from the slide, we're doing contracts because we can give you an estimated level of work, a guarantee of work, whereas a framework, there is no guarantee of what you can win from the opportunities. There is bidding restrictions on this contract, so we're asking suppliers to bid for a maximum of 3 lots in total from lots 1 to 11, so that's the rewetting lots, and 1 lot in total from lots 12 to 14, which is the specialist harvesting. Service providers will be awarded a maximum of the 3 lots. It should be up to a maximum of 3 lots for lots 1 to 11 and 1 lot from 12 to 14. So we'll be awarding up to a maximum of 4 lots per service provider. And we are encouraging service providers to only submit a bid for the number of lots you have the capacity to deliver, and also that you would be willing to accept. The first section I'm going to go into in a bit more detail is the qualification envelope, which is the single procurement document, the SPD. The SPD is only included in the master ITT section of the tender documents, as Julie will hopefully point out to you. Part of the SPD is with regards to quality management procedures. Now, we're asking you if for service providers to have ISO 9001 or equivalent, which is the quality management procedures. We appreciate that the supply base might not hold these, so as evidence, we need you to, if you don't hold these, we need you to be able to have and be able to provide us with your process and procedures for periodically reviewing, correcting, and improving your quality performance, ensuring quality management is effective in reducing, preventing incidents of substandard delivery, providing the workforce with quality related training and information, ensuring that you apply quality management measures and how complaints are dealt with. Now, all these are explained in a bit more detail within the tender pack under a document that's titled SPD Supporting Statements. And there's a full list. These are expanded on these bullet points. So don't panic if you don't hold the ISO 9001 or equivalent. We just need you to be able to have and provide evidence of these bullet points. And likewise, it's the same for the health and safety procedures, the ISO 45001 or equivalent. And as you can see, there's a full bullet point list again that you'll be able to read at your own leisure. But again, these are covered in the SPD supporting statements document that has been uploaded to PCS tender for you to have a look at. And the final one on the SPD is the Environmental Management Procedure, ISO 14001 or equivalent. And again, it's you either, if you haven't got it, you must be able to provide the following information for us. So within the tender documents, we've split the price commercial at 30% and quality technical at 70%. When you log into PCS tender, you'll see there's a master ITT, which covers the generic questions that are applicable to all lots. So it's going to be asking you questions on the sustainability, community benefits, your capacity. Now you only need to answer those questions once for this requirement and upload your responses into Part A under the Master ITT section. Then you will see that there's lot specific ITTs for each of the 14 lots. These are made up of, for lots 1 to 14, there are 2 questions for you to answer with regards to methodology, and you'll need to upload your responses to each of the lots that you are proposing to submit a bid for. They won't carry over. So if you're bidding for your maximum 3 lots, you will have to upload your response 3 times to those lots, as it says there. And likewise, before I go on, I think for the pricing will be exactly the same. It'll be a different price schedule. Well, it's the same price schedule, but if you're bidding for your maximum 3 lots for lots 1 to 11, you will need to upload that 3 times. So the first question that we want to tackle that is contained within the Master ITT question is with regards to your capacity to deliver the requirement for us. And within the tender document, we've provided you a table which is as an attachment that we're asking you to give an for you to fill in what you expect one machine, as in here, enter the maximum annual hectarage that you would expect one machine and one operator to deliver in column B of the column for each of the lots, and enter the number of operators and machines you intend to deploy to deliver the annual hectarage for each of the lots bid for. And the table has been provided with a hectarage figure to give you an indication. And speaking to our colleagues, we are they've advised an expected range of 0.75 to 1.25 hectares can be delivered by one machine and one operator per day, to give you an indication. And for the specialist peatland restoration, sorry, that should read harvesting, apologies. We're needing to know the number of operators and machines you intend to deploy to deliver the lots, and column B in that case is not required. So for the capacity question, in addition to that, we're wanting you to provide us with sufficient evidence and assurance that you have the capacity and the resource to deliver the maximum annual hectarage that you have confirmed concurrently from day one of the contract. So this is based on your figures that you've included within the table. You must take into consideration any current commitments that you already have when calculating your capacity to deliver this work for FLS. So that could be maybe work that you're currently doing for FLS or other organisations. We'll be awarding lots based on your capacity to deliver the total annual volumes of those lots, and we will only be awarding lots up to your demonstrated maximum annual capacity. And now I'm going to pass over to Claire Guerin for the next couple of sections.
Okay, great. Sorry, I've just got that distracting resumed recording. Right, okay. So I'll talk you through the sustainability questions and around the community benefits as well. So around sustainability, so as an organisation, Forestry and Land Scotland are fully committed in assisting with delivery of Scottish Government's policies that relate to tackling the current climate emergency. So with that in mind, we want to conduct business with responsible service providers, and we actively encourage all our service providers, suppliers and partners across the supply chain to collaborate with us to tackle the climate emergency together, through minimising emissions, promoting a circular economy, and supporting the purchaser's our climate change plan. So the details on our response to climate emergency and our commitments are detailed there in the web link there, so you can access that on our website. Just a bit of background context to the sustainability question. Do remember that your response should be specific to this contract. It shouldn't be a generic policy or process document. So, don't send in your environmental policy document as a response to this question. Failure to provide a contract-specific response may result in your response being considered unacceptable. So just to bear that in mind. Claire, if you can move on to the next one. Thanks. Okay, so again, this is background context of the sustainability question. In the next slide after this, I'll go into the actual sort of question itself. But again, setting the context, the background to it. You'll see this picture here, the carbon footprint. So just to go over for everybody's benefit, carbon footprint is a widely used measure of the amount of greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, that are released into the atmosphere as a direct and indirect result of human activities. This slide here shows that 82% of carbon footprint in Scotland actually comes from our consumption. So it's from all the goods, materials and services that we produce, use and dispose. So that is our biggest problem. The world's population is expected to peak at 10 billion in 2050. As a result, our Earth's raw materials are not limitless, and you'll already be seeing that global labour, raw material costs, etc., are constantly increasing. So what is the UK doing about this? We're committed to moving towards a more circular economy. What do I mean by this? A circular economy aims to reduce our consumption. And how does it do this? By keeping resources in use as long as possible, extracting the maximum value from these resources, minimising waste, and promoting resource efficiency. To hear more about the circular economy, if you're not as familiar with it, you can go to the Zero Waste Scotland website and just Google for what is a circular economy. I'll give you a bit more background there as well. So I'll move on to the actual detail in the question next as well. Okay, so these are the specific areas asked for in the sustainability question. So the first one is around how you will approach and intend to reduce your environmental impact and emissions in terms of choice of machine design, specifications to minimise fuel use and optimise the working life of the machinery. So what do we mean by that? Examples would be reusing components, having a regular maintenance schedule, regular repair schedule, etc. Again, to extend the useful lifespan of that machinery. Second point is around how you will commit to delivering a sustainable service. So looking at avoiding transportation miles through better route planning and better coordination of jobs, etc. Next point is around how you manage tools, equipment and machinery to minimise their environmental impact and optimise their working lifespan. Again, for examples through reuse and repair. Next point down is about how you'll meet the reporting requirements to provide carbon dioxide equivalent emission data associated with the services that you provide under this contract. You provide this data on a quarterly basis to us. Don't worry too much about that. We will provide, information on what we're looking for, and there's more information around that as well within the tender. You also need to detail any other actions you will undertake to ensure energy efficiency in delivering this service. So bear all of those kind of points and considerations in mind when responding to the sustainability question. Okay, moving on to community benefits. So community benefit delivery is mandatory within each contract. Why is it mandatory for this tender? Well, the exponential growth in delivery of peatland restoration is needed to meet the Scottish Government's targets of 250,000 hectares to be restored by 2030. This means there's an urgent need to address the skills shortages and the workforce capacity issues in the peatland restoration sector. So these benefits can't be benefits you're already providing, i.e. they must not be a community benefit that's already been undertaken by your organisation. What do we mean by community benefits? We mean that they're bringing benefit to the local and broader Scottish community while carrying out your obligations under this contract. You'll be required to choose and report on a minimum number of community benefits types, and this is linked to the estimated total contract value of all the contracts that you'll be successful in being awarded. Now we'll go, in the next slides, we'll go into a bit more detail about what we mean by that. So the next slide, please. Okay, so this table here, and again, you will see all of this detail in the tender pack as well. But these types of community benefits listed here in the tender all relate to around building workforce capacity, as that's been identified as a crucial need in the sector. The list of community benefits that have been identified as particularly relevant and proportionate to this contract are listed in this table. It's not expected that you will deliver on all of these community benefits listed here. You should decide which of these, from the range of community benefits, are most appropriate for your business based on the following considerations. Size of business, so micro, small, medium, non-SME, and your scale of operations, the overall contract lot values that you'll be bidding for, and the business model that you're proposing to use to deliver the lots that you're bidding for in this contract. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so as I said in the previous slide, you're required to choose and report on a minimum number of community benefits types. This is then linked through by a point system to the estimated total contract value of all the lots you've bid for over the lifetime of the contract. So for example, if the total estimated contract value of all the lots you bid for and are willing to accept over the lifetime of the contract are less than 4 million, then that, the number of community benefit points you're required to report on is just 1 point. If it's between 4 and 7 million, it's 2 points. 7 to 10 million, 3 points, and over 10 million, 4 points. This is to make the reporting process fair and proportionate to the value for which you are bidding for. Service providers will be expected to present a community benefit proposal with their tender, detailing their rationale for choosing particular community benefits from the table provided. And in the event they should be successful in winning the contract, they'll deliver these community benefits, including reporting requirements. Now, in terms of reporting requirements, we'll be required to submit an annual return in February each year, which outlines the progress made against the community benefits that you have included. Okay, I think we're moving back over to Fair Work first, so moving back over to Claire M.
Thanks, Claire G. So another one of the requirements that we have within the tender is for Fair Work First, which is Scottish Government policy for driving good quality and fair work in Scotland. Now, we can appreciate that many suppliers maybe on this call are sole traders, but we need you to actually demonstrate how you would deliver this for yourself even. So just don't think because you're a sole trader, think of the workforce that you subcontractors, because it would apply to them as well. How you ensure these 7 points for the Fair Work First policy is addressed. Next slide is with regards to KPIs. So again, there's a section on key performance indicators. It's a separate appendix within the tender pack. These will be reviewed on a quarterly basis with yourself and the contract manager for the lot that you are successful with. And as Claire G mentioned, the carbon emissions will be reporting on these quarterly, and we'll use the I think we'll use the year one figure as a benchmark, won't we, for reductions for future years of the contract? And that's what we'll say, they'll be set on a contract by contract basis. There's a few more KPIs within the document with regards to adhering to the three principles of Peatland Restoration, which is a separate appendix. There's one about invoicing. It's just the usual, I was going to say the usual KPIs that FLS require, but for those of you new to the business, please have a read through them, and any questions, put a question through the PCS tender portal and we'll address that for you. Now, the final section from me is with regards to the price. There is pricing schedules provided within PCS tender, and I just want to emphasise that there has been quantities put against each price line, and to note that these are for evaluation purposes only and are not based on the actual anticipated quantities for the services for the contract. So the total value of your submitted price line must not therefore be anticipated to reflect the actual lot value. As we say, we'll be doing annual price reviews carried out each anniversary of the contract commencement date. There is a table called cost drivers, which is appendix 2 of the evaluation and award criteria, which asks you to break down what percentage of the rates you have provided are made up for your labour costs, for example, your fuel, your lease hires, if you have any of that. And within that table, you'll also see the relevant indices that we'll use for the price reviews. And please note the prices, we can do increases and decreases within the tender. All costs of the service must be considered and included within the submitted pricing. So that's including all costs and overheads for your ATVs, for access to machines, vehicle use for refuelling and welfare provisions, haulage, staff transport, accommodation. The exceptions to this are outlined within the document, and you'll see it's for, I can't remember offhand, apologies, but they're all detailed within the evaluation and award criteria. There's notes at the bottom of that, and it's also included in the PCS tender. All price lines must be priced against. It's just so we can ensure we're going to be evaluating in a fairer manner and be able to evaluate suppliers' prices like for like. So that is a must. Please ensure a figure is entered onto every price line as detailed. And finally, just to reiterate again, all questions with regards to this presentation, the tender pack, please submit them through the PCS tender Q&A function. And thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our presentation.